even further expectation on Arsenal's trip to a stadium in which they've not won at this season and have already lost twice to their opponents. This is the Arsenal Preview Show. Hello and welcome to a very frustrated Arsenal preview show, of course, going live in the aftermath, the minutes aftermath of Tottenham's 2-1 win over Brighton, in which Brighton absolutely dominated for the last 20 minutes of the game, only to be sucker punched by our, of course, North London rivals. I'm joined by a very disappointed Tom Sable. How you doing, mate? You good, Joel? I know that's an obvious answer to that question.
Disappointed. Feel like I got the gut punch watching that end of the game, so...
Indeed. Yeah, it was tough. Very, very tough indeed. We're also joined by Bryce. How you doing, Bryce?
Doing well. It's good to be back. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. Absolute pleasure as always. Thank you both for joining me. For what we're going to do is we're going to focus on Arsenal, because if we don't do that, we'll just be very disappointed with what ultimately football does to us on a daily basis. But Arsenal do take on West Ham, Tom, in a game in which there is extra importance, of course, based upon the results now this weekend. Manchester City winning 2-0 against Everton. And then, of course, Liverpool winning just now 3-1 against Burnley. Arsenal are usually the team that play first. So this is actually kind of a different turnaround this time. Arsenal playing late in the weekend, with us being the Champions League side, Liverpool being, of course, the Europa League side. They tend to play later than us. How do you feel we'll cope with that expectation and pressure being reversed this weekend?
I think we're going to have a lot of we're going to have a lot of motivation because of the like you said earlier, what we've done at that ground. It's been terrible. And with us going back, and it's bad of I think it was a bad reception that Rice got the last time, even though he didn't start. I wasn't exactly pleased with the way they treated him, and I expect him a little bit more of that. But I think that I think we had the blip. I think we looked pretty damn good in the game against Liverpool from a mentality standpoint. So I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Rice had his worst game of the season at home against West Ham, actually. It's probably his poorest. Obviously, he gave away that late penalty in that game as well, which Raya thankfully saved, which we might come to really appreciate with goal difference in the season. We'll have to wait and see. But, I agree with you. I think the pressure on Rice is there. And Bryce, do you think that there's a lot of Bryce and Rice rhyming going on here. But do you think on the night, Rice will find himself on the right side of the result?
Oh, 100%. We're going to come to find out who my star player is going to be in the show, but I was this close to picking Rice. I was sitting down in my chair and I was thinking about making my team for this slides. And I was like, he's going to absolutely kill it. He's going to show up and he's going to dominate and he's going to kind of silence the haters.
Well, I hope that he does, because he does need to turn up. There will be expectation. There will be pressure on him, and certainly the eyes will be on him. I'm interested now because I think he's had 2 games where obviously he's received quite a lot of boos, some chants against him. That it's kind of done, I guess, the mystery around how West Ham are going to react. We know how they're going to react now. We know what they're going to do. They're going to chant. They're going to get on his back, and now he knows that. There's no mystery going into this game for Declan Rice. So I think that, if anything, will help him focus perhaps more and focus on what Arsenal have to do. Now, last time around, Tom, when we played West Ham in the league at the London Stadium, it was a game in which signalled the start of the end, if you like, to, I guess Liverpool was more so the start of the end when we drew at Anfield. But then this game, of course, with another draw, 2 goals up again, conceding twice, Jarrod Bowen getting on the score sheet, of course, and we had a real big mistake which led to them getting a penalty in that game as well. How do you feel as though this time around, if Arsenal drop points, could it again signal the end to our title challenge for the 2nd season in a row?
It very well could, because that becomes one of those mental deficiency comments and conversations. I hope that they wouldn't actually get it in their ears, because they don't watch social media, as Arteta was saying this week about not caring much about the criticism about the celebrations. But I do think that if we lose tomorrow, and I know that I was talking with some other people the other day, you got to really enjoy the win that we had against Liverpool. But now we're on to West Ham. If we don't win against West Ham, Liverpool's goodwill is out the door, and I think that I think they know that. But it could be a downward slide if they were to lose at the I always want to call it the old stadium, but if they were able to win there, I think it's going to we've got a good run of games. I think we've got some revenge games coming up. This is the beginning of our revenge tour, maybe, because even though we've got Newcastle coming at home, I think we've got this one we've got to get out of the way first.
Yeah, you're right. We do have to get, and to be honest, I'm so sick of like looking so far ahead and saying we got, this run of games leads to the Etihad next. That's what this run of games, and fans' minds are going to be on that game in March, later in that month at the Etihad Stadium, where you've got games like Newcastle at home still. We've got Chelsea at home still in this run as well. And West Ham away is not an easy ground for us anymore. The West Ham as an opponent. There's this kind of this artificial rivalry that's almost been created by the supporters around the Declan Rice transfer, and of course the last two results against them, which have gone in their favour, have increased that even further. And of course the last time we went to the London Stadium, the last two times, of course, we've not come away with the result that we've wanted, and they've both been damaging to Arteta's position. It's been damaging to the reputation around the club as well. So that's very frustrating. Damien says in the chat, are we aiming for 1K likes in this video as well? We succeed in the mornings, Damien. But my expectations in those kind of later ones is not the same. And Zamira says, did I forget to turn my mic on? I think I did, to be fair. So I'll try and turn that on for you shortly. But Bryce, whilst I'm trying to sort out I'm just looking at it now and it's just saying off. So clearly, yeah, it's not on. But Bryce, in regards to how you think we should approach this one, we were talking a little bit off air and you were mentioning about kind of selections, which we'll talk about later. But you think we might need to have a little bit more maybe attacking threat because we're going to have more space, you think, in this one compared to the Liverpool game?
Yeah. Do you want me to spoil my lineup at all, or should I leave it?
It's up to you. Is my mic sounding fine now, by the way?
It sounds great now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. There we go.
All right, I'll spoil it a little bit. The hardest thing for me to pick was Jorginho and that left 8 role. I end up going with ESR for all of you ESR lovers out there. And that's because I kind of looked at things and I was like, Liverpool was 100% a Jorginho match. I mean, we needed his experience. We needed his expertise. We needed his maturity and his defensive capabilities and the way to kind of see a pass and just put it right on a boot. And he did that several times throughout the Liverpool game. He was exceptional, man of the match for a reason. But I think that the challenge that we're going to face when we're going to the London Stadium is going to be a little different. They're definitely going to set up in a low block. How many touches do we have? 66 touches in the opposition's box, right?
Something silly like that. I'll find the stat for you.
Yeah. And so they're going to be sitting deep. They're going to put 10 guys behind the ball, and they're going to have a guy sitting at the halfway point. And basically, if they can clear that ball out, that's their counter. That's going to be their entire attacking strategy. So we need some people that are going to be able to work in those tight spaces and kind of create possibly ugly goals or the most brilliant and most beautiful goals I've ever seen, because that's what you have to do in those situations where you have 10 guys in the penalty box or in the 18-yard box, not in the penalty box, in the 18-yard box. And that's just kind of what's going to happen.
Yeah, it was 77 touches Arsenal had in the West Ham box without scoring a goal.
That's insanity.
Absolute insanity. The only team that have managed to get close to that this season have been Manchester City when they had 67 touches in the Newcastle box. They won that game 3-2 away from home, actually, at St James's Park, quite impressively. So, yeah, they still didn't get as high as we did, and they scored 3 goals. So it shows you kind of the difference. But I think, Tom, we've turned a bit of a corner. In the last few games, 3 goals against Liverpool, 5 goals against Palace, 2 goals away at Nottingham Forest. So you're up there scoring, 10 in our last 3 games? Doing that quick maths in my head. So it looks like we have turned a corner. But Jesus doesn't look like he's going to be available for this game. Arteta said there's no update yet. We know how we can be with injuries, but we probably assume that Havertz is going to be the starting striker. It's a huge game for him once again to try and deliver more maybe than he did against Liverpool, where he played well, I thought, but ultimately didn't contribute with a goal or an assist. But obviously his shot led to Saka's goal, to be fair.
Yeah, because we always complain about not putting the ball on target a lot of times, and because through this run we were getting in great positions and we were just having terrible finishing, and it was part of it was we were putting it on, we were getting blocked, we were not putting it on goal. So put him getting through and putting on a goal, even though he didn't score, probably should have, but good things happen when you put it and make the goalie make a save. So Saka scored there. I think unlike what we did against Liverpool, where we kind of played a 4-2-2-2, we had that box and we had the two were Havertz and Odegaard. I think Havertz is probably going to play, to spoil my lineup a little bit, is going to play more like you were saying as a striker, an actual striker this time, and we'll probably have three up front. I do think that the best thing about what we've been doing in the last few games and with scoring all those goals is that we've been getting in all the right positions. Like we haven't dropped our heads. We're doing the same thing, if not better. We're not doing the horseshoe around the box, but we are getting into better positions. We're using our triangles and then we're finishing. And that's the key. You can't not finish all the time.
No, of course. It is frustrating, and obviously there's constant question marks. And Tony scored this weekend as well, which obviously if we don't score tomorrow is going to create another narrative, which I'm sure will be talked about at great extent. But we do need to be better. The other area, Bryce, obviously the way we've got some boosts is in defence, because Tomiyasu has returned from the Asia Cup. Endo started and played for Liverpool today. Heung-min Son has returned for Spurs as well, was on the bench today for them. Would he come straight into the team for you? Because Kivior came on against Liverpool for an injured Zinchenko, who we don't know if he's going to be fit, and did really well. So would it be harsh to then just throw Tomiyasu straight into the team?
Yeah, maybe it's harsh, but that's football. Tommy, I love him. He's pure class. I love everything about him. I love his height, his physicality. He's so good at honestly, he's getting kind of good at the inverted role as well. And probably not as good or as proficient as Zinchenko is, but you're going to see him getting into those central areas and providing an outlet for passes himself. And so I think bring him straight in. I love Tommy. And if Zinchenko is not fully fit, like if he is not ready to rock and roll, Tommy all the way.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, we're losing you a little bit connection-wise, Bryce. We did get the majority of what you were saying there. You've gone a little bit fuzzy on our screens. I don't know if the internet's been as successful as Brighton's ability to hold on to a draw at Spurs this afternoon, but it hopefully will level out in a second. We'll go to lineups. We start with Tom and his team. Talk us through your selection, mate.
Well, across the back, it's pretty much the same, but like Bryce was just saying, and if you go back to what Arteta said this week, it sounded very suspicious, like how he said things about ESR prior to ESR playing the last time. I love Tomiyasu. I love him. He's adorable. All that stuff that he said about Tomiyasu. Yes, that's what he said. So I think there's a really good chance that he comes right in, and that would be great. Like Bryce was saying, I think he does play that inverted role a little bit better than Kivior at this point. And it is harsh to sit down Kivior. He had a great second half, but I think Tomiyasu is going to be the key to shutting down Kudus, who kind of scares me. I wish we would have signed him, but that's for another show. Yeah. Jorginho, I think I was with Bryce. I was struggling about this one because I think that he deserves to start, but I also would like to be more offensive. I actually think that what's going to happen, and it's because of the conversation we had about Rice and what he knows is going to happen. It's still going to be a lot of pressure going in there, but I think he's ready for it. I think he's actually going to play more in his preferred role, or not preferred role, but normal role of the 6. I think Jorginho is going to play in the 8, like he was playing a little bit against Liverpool. And I think that's going to still give the opportunity for Rice to go forward. And then up top, like we said earlier, you're going to have Havertz, and I think he can wreak havoc on their back line. Last time, their center backs pretty much were in control, even though we had a lot of possession, a lot of attempts. We were in the box a lot. We've got to do something to make their center backs uncomfortable.
No, you're absolutely right. And Havertz is a player I think that does that inherently. Like, he just creates nightmare scenarios for defenders. We saw that with Kanate against Liverpool. We saw it when he came on against Brentford and scored late. We saw it against Brighton when he had the influence in that game as well. And I think what we need really, and I'll come on to my team in a second, but I think we just need a really top Havertz display where he just kind of takes ownership of a game and stamps his authority over it. Before we get to mine, though, Bryce, talk us through your selection. You got a change that it might cause some question marks here.
Oh, I think I had Tomiyasu at left back.
Yeah, I'm just changing it now. I saw that. I just noticed it.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, it's all good. So my one change was having Smith Rowe in. I mean, I really thought he had a great game in his last start. But I totally understand why Jorginho played in Liverpool. I would have made the exact same decision. And yeah, Jorginho, I feel so bad for dropping him. I love him. He is, in my opinion, one of the best January signings the last decade. He's been really, really great. I have Saka as my star man just because I want out of him. He's been not at his best. Like, he's not being as prolific as he was in last season. Like, last season, you'd see him get on the ball and you just thought to yourself, he's going to dribble right past the back line and he's going to get a shot off, or he's going to send a cross across the box. And it was between Saka and Odegaard for my star player. And I almost wanted Odegaard just for the memes. Because if he scores in this game, I want him to celebrate so hard. I want him to go right up to a camera, do something like this, take a picture of the camera.
Yeah.
Just make the pundits go crazy. But yeah, I think that we're gonna score. I think we're gonna score a lot, actually. We'll get to the score predictions later, but I'm hoping for a very dominant performance. Plus a Havertz goal. I actually really like Havertz. There's a lot of people that don't like Havertz, but I think that he offers a lot in terms of possession and controlling possession and controlling tempo. He just doesn't lose the ball very often.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even think of the last time that Havertz made a really bad mistake that led to
Manchester United at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that is it. That is the last big mistake he's made.
Yeah.
I think it's the only mistake he's actually made.
Yeah.
If anyone in the chat box can think of another, I can't.
He's a very intelligent player. He's so good at maintaining possession, holding onto the ball, not losing it. Granted, he doesn't progress the ball either. Like, he's not threading the needle for Saka and Martinelli on regular basis, but he just doesn't lose the ball. And that's what Arteta wants. Arteta wants that slow build-up, that kind of suffocated team. Push them back, suffocate them. And so hopefully class performance out of the boys.
Yeah, on Havertz for me, and he is my my starman prediction for this game. He has done nothing to deserve the scrutiny he's got. He himself has done absolutely nothing to deserve the scrutiny he gets. This isn't like I'd use the example of Nicolas Pepe at times, where there were games where Nicolas Pepe did make mistakes, took on opportunities that he shouldn't have done. There was a better opportunity to take and he didn't. Lost the ball too often. I remember the Aston Villa game away from home where he I think the last nail in his coffin, really, where we were winning 1-0. He comes off the bench and just has an awful game defensively for us. And like, Havertz, to me, has just not done enough to garner the praise that we want to give him, and that most fans, I'd say, want to really appreciate him for what he's done. It's what he hasn't done, which is obviously he hasn't been the guy that's put £65 million on him. He's not been the person that decided he gets paid as much as he gets paid. That's all on the club. So he has done nothing to deserve the scrutiny he gets, but he's not done enough yet to escape it either. And that is the other side of the coin, where he has to now start to deliver more in games. And that's what we want to see him do, is we want to see him try and deliver more in games. And I hope that this is going to be a game where he does that. And that's why I've got him as my star player on my team. I have gone with Jorginho. I've got the same lineup as Tom. And I think that it would be incredibly harsh to drop him. I absolutely see Bryce's reasons for bringing Smith Rowe or anybody else actually into that position, because we are going to have more of the ball. It's just for me, a game away from home like West Ham, I like the calmness that Jorginho brings. I actually think I've got him in the wrong position in this 11 because it seems as though when he plays, Rice is actually deeper and Jorginho is actually trying to influence play a little bit like Granit Xhaka did in some ways, where Xhaka you don't think of as playing the DM position. And when he's in that role, if you have Partey available, Xhaka was playing further ahead than Partey, when sometimes maybe people thought that that'd be the other way around. And certainly the case of Rice and Jorginho, people might thought it'd been the other way around, like it shows on paper here. But actually, Jorginho does more going forward. So yeah, let's see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens at left back as well. Tomiyasu is the guy that comes back in. He's better at playing the inverted role than Kivior is. He's also a better defender than any other left back that we've got at the moment as well. So that hopefully will help, as Tom, you were pointing out earlier, against the other wing options that West Ham have, because it's going to be a tough day on the break. We're really going to have to keep the likes of Kudus quiet. I think Bowen is available and back now. So yeah, it's going to be a tough day, but we've got more than enough quality to deal with it. I'd really like Saka to have a great game as well, not just score, but have a really convincing performance. Because whilst he's scored 2 in his last 2 games, outside of the goals, there's been question marks, I think, about his performance. So I'd like to see him have a fantastic game as well. Right, let's go to predictions then. Chat boxes are your time to get involved as well. Tom, we'll start with you. Scoreline and scorers, please.
Well, like you said, Havertz isn't getting to do because he doesn't do the sexy things. I don't think he's going to do the sexy things this time, except for maybe 1 goal. He's gonna, and the reason why Odegaard was my star player of the lineup was because he's going to get some layoffs from Havertz, and he's going to score 2, and that leaves 2 more for Saka and for Martinelli. I'm saying 5-1, if I did my math right.
That would be great. That'd be great. I'd love to just scroll through West Ham Twitter.
Oh yeah,
that would be
awesome.
Wonderful. Bryce.
Yeah, I actually just saw it in the chat box. I don't know how to pronounce this name, so I'm not going to try. But a bold prediction of 6-0. I saw that. That was that's insane. I wasn't going as bold as that. I was going to go with a 4-1. I said I thought we were going to score a lot. So 4-1 win. Havertz 1, Saka 2, Odegaard 1, camera celebration. And then for West Ham, I'll even predict their score. I think it's going to be Kudus.
Yeah, I think it's probably a fair prediction, that one. It's just been so good for them. What a sign.
The nice thing is Paqueta's out, though.
He was doing really well in AFCON as well. Tom, I was telling you, I'm a teacher here, and we have an exchange student from Nigeria. He's in one of my classes. And so during our lunch periods, which just happens to be during the AFCON matches, he would come into my classroom and I would put it up on the projector, the games that were on. And he was...
I would have been so sacked for that when I was teaching.
Yeah, well, it's during lunch period. So
fair enough.
So it wasn't
I'm just saying, my school was so strict with stuff like that. So I'm sure it's just like, you let
Bryce was the cool teacher. Bryce is the cool teacher.
I am. Yeah, it's just if you got a game that you want me to pin the live score on too, because you can pin live scores on Google, and so we'll be talking and presenting about something, or I'll be lecturing, and I'll have the live score pinned down in the corner, and so. Students love that for baseball, for football, or American football, for European football as well. So I try to create a good climate.
No, the worst thing that ever happened was when the kids found out that I did this. That was the worst thing. Yeah,
my students don't know about this.
Yeah, it's a great reason why I left. So it's certainly I'm not to deal with that, but it was bad for a while. I was like, oh, sir, YouTube channel. Yeah, brilliant. Aditya says bold prediction 6-0 Odegaard hat trick. Love that. That's what Bryce was talking about earlier. Ian says 2-1, another tight win. Damien says 2-0 to Arsenal. Amira says 2-1 Saka. James Ward-Prowse free kick and a Tomiyasu rocket in extra time that lifts up his shirt and announces his new contract. Temi says 5-0 West Ham win and a Rice red card. Just kidding. 2-0 Arsenal. Mike says 3-1 Havertz, Saka, Trossard off the bench. Nell says 3-1 Gunners. Shari says 4-1 to the Arsenal. Greg is joining us live. Always a very dedicated commenter is Greg. Pleasure to see you in the chat, my friends. Arsenal 3, West Ham 0. Nell says 3-1 Odegaard, Rice and Saka would be perfection. And Steve Stone says 2-1 to the Arsenal. It's West Ham away. It is not going to be easy. I'm going to go with a 3-1, I think. I just can't see us keeping the clean sheet. It's just the way it goes. Ben White screamer, of course, but Havertz getting the other two, both assisted by Bukayo Saka. So that's the hope. Fingers crossed that turns out to be the case. Thank you to my fantastic panel of guests tonight. Please show them plenty of love in the live chat and the comment section as well. Tom, thank you for your time. Tell people they can find you and what you're going to be up to.
You can find me on the social medias at Sir Sable, and you can see my photography there. And then I also run the Gulf Coast Gooners down here in Tampa. Thank you very much for putting that up.
There you go.
Appreciate it. I saw that this morning. Some of my people said, "Hey, look!" So they were watching.
I was going to angle this camera down. You see, but there it is. Yes, it's
So,
up. The Gulf Coast Gooners.
Awesome. Come on down to Tampa whenever you're feeling cold, wherever you may be at, and we enjoy watching the Arsenal.
Indeed. Yeah, the Denver one up as well, which I think Morgie gave me. But it's good to see Andy from the Gooners Pod represented as well, who's of course down in Denver. Bryce, always a pleasure, my friend. Tell people they can find you, what you're going to be up to.
Find me on the Discord and hopefully
streaming games with your students. I assume that's what's going to be happening.
Yeah, for sure. It was I'm really lucky actually when we were playing against Crystal Palace. We had prep period. I had my prep during the game. So I just watched the game.
Yeah. We call them free periods, I guess, when you got a free to plan and mark. Like the amount of times when the World Cup was on, that it'd just be like, we're just going to chuck the game on, and our free.
Yeah, perfect. Tom, are you going to be coming to these States for the summer tour?
I don't think so, which sucks. But I really wish I was. I one day I will be out there for one of the tours. One day it will happen.
Good. My brother went to DC for the sadly the Havertz. I was gonna say some choice words of his performance in the skill show, but then he watched the game and he loved it. And so I'm going this summer, wherever it is, I'll book a flight.
Amazing. You'll have a great time. But when they go out there, it's great. I absolutely think there's a conversation to be had about the fairness for fans all around the world that feel incredibly envious of the Americans right now that are receiving a lot of love.
I feel kind of bad,
but a very obvious reason.
I feel bad. I feel bad as well. But
you got to take it. You're not in control of it. You got to just appreciate the fact that that the Arsenal are going to be there once again this summer, and I think there's potential for some friendlies against. Is it Liverpool? I think there might be a game against. From the sounds of things, I think that was the whispers on social media, because I think a lot of the big Premier League sides are out there. Say again.
You got to let me know locations too if you hear anything.
I don't know locations yet. Yeah, okay. I would be shocked if LA isn't one of them.
It's got to be at SoFi. There's no way that they don't take it to Kroenke's house.
I just hope that the pitch is better this time around. That's all I can pray for. We don't need more injuries and stuff, going on. And it was bad last year. It was really.
It looked like Tottenham Stadium today. Did you see that? Or everybody sliding?
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh, it was terrible.
Is it because of the NFL that was being played there, or
it must have been but Brighton players are sliding all over the place. Apparently,
really. Well, they do water the pitches heavily. They do it at the Emirates as well. But was it Anfield where I'm at Anfield this season? They were slipping everywhere at Anfield this season. So, let's see. But no, it's an amazing experience, Bryce. You'll have an amazing time. Amazing. The Arsenal America family is brilliant. The people I've met out there, hence why there's so many, North American scarves on the wall behind me. So I do want to get some more from around the world featured. But it's looking great so far. You can of course find both Tom and Bryce in our Discord server as well. If you want to come onto our preview shows, get your hat thrown in the ring, all you need to do is join up. There's a link down in the video description to our link tree, which will take you to that. But sometimes it doesn't really work on iOS, so do it on your Android or your laptop or whatever can get you that access, and you'll be able to see both of the boys in the Discord server. I'll be back tomorrow morning, bright and early at 8 a.m. as always, giving you the latest updates and the last updates ahead of the game against West Ham before I head up to the London Stadium to give that a watch. And I will be seeing our good friend Mike Feinberg tomorrow as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Have a fantastic evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you happen to be in the world. Let's just hope that someone can do us a favour at some point and actually put it to Spurs instead of giving them the glimmest of hope that they so often and so fortunately take for themselves. But yes, it's been a tough day of results for Arsenal. Let's hope tomorrow is all that much better. Speak to you soon. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe, stay well, stay happy. And as always, up the Arsenal.